Hello, it is 5 p.m. in Bangkok. It's 11 p.m. in Auckland. I'm Monita Rajpal. You're watching CNN, the world's news leader. This is World One, live from London. Bad to New Zealand's worst ever environmental disaster at sea. High winds and strong swells are hampering efforts to staunch the flow of oil gushing into pristine coastal waters. At least 130 tons of oil are thought to have leaked from the Liberian-flagged container ship, which ran aground on a reef off New Zealand's North Island. Kim Vanell reports on the attempts to bring the disaster under control.
While the Rena is no longer visible from shore, she's bringing more toxic fuel oil than New Zealand's coastline has ever endured.
TDNZ's Kim Vanell reporting there. Well, we want to get more on this continuously unfolding situation. Let's go to Steve Abel of Greenpeace via Skype from Auckland. Steve, thank you very much for being with us. There are a few fronts here that are of major concern. Obviously, there's this continuous leakage of this oil from this ship. But of course, there's the ship in itself that is of major concern, that the fact that it could very well break apart, releasing more and more oil.
Yes, the ship contains 1,400 tons more of fuel, which could be released if it does break apart.
Large parts of Southeast Asia are underwater. Floods have submerged huge swathes of the subcontinent, leaving more than 500 people dead in Thailand, in Cambodia and Vietnam. And there is no let-up in sight as Bangkok braces for more floods this weekend. Relisa Vasileva reports.
Southeast Asia is underwater. Not just part of the subcontinent, but nearly all of it, in a region where flooding is a yearly reality of life, where there's hardly any high ground to seek safety. This flooding has reached record levels. Almost 500 people are dead across Thailand, Cambodia and Vietnam, with millions more affected and nearly $4 billion in damage.
With the extreme weather causing troubles on 3 continents, we want to bring in our meteorologist, Mari Ramos, for a look at what's in the forecast. Mari, what's going on?
You know what? It's a lot of things happening at the same time, right? Let's go ahead and start in Mexico, where Rafael was reporting from. This is an area that is very vulnerable to flooding. It's in a bay. I'm going to show you that in just...
Mari, thank you very much for that. Stay with us here on World One. Much more still to come. Breaking news coming into CNN this hour. The former Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yulia Tymoshenko, has been sentenced to 7 years in prison for abusing powers when signing a natural gas deal with Russia back in 2009. She has called the charges against her politically motivated. She said the sentence is not being pronounced by the judge. Welcome back. Syria's newly formed opposition council is gaining some key support from within the Arab world. Both Libya's new authorities and a coalition of Egyptian Democrats have publicly given it their backing. The council came together in Turkey earlier this month and was met with a slew of criticism from Damascus. It did nothing to ease tensions between Turkey and Syria, which have dramatically escalated in recent months. CNN's Ivan Watson is on the Turkey-Syrian border and joins us now live with more. Ivan.
That's right. The latest broadside now coming from Damascus against Turkey, its once close former ally, came from the presidential advisor, Bethena Shaban.
Ivan, thank you very much for that. Ivan Watson reporting to us there. You're watching World One live from London. Former Ukrainian Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko has been sentenced to 7 years in prison for abusing her powers when signing natural gas deals with Russia in 2009. Tymoshenko could face, she was on trial that has garnered international attention. And we want to get more on this story now. We're joined by CNN senior international correspondent Matthew Chance. She has described the charges against her as being politically motivated, Matthew.
Yes, she certainly has. She's been making that claim throughout, often in a very disruptive way, standing up in the court, speaking over the judge. She was doing that today as the sentence was passed down. You may have heard within the last few minutes, she's been sentenced to 7 years.
Because this is someone who was a former presidential candidate. She was running against Viktor Yanukovych in the elections. And now I guess there are many who would wonder if it was indeed a political motivation against her opponent, who actually say that these charges are indeed valid.
Well, of course, that's the big accusation. She narrowly lost the presidential elections back in 2010 to Viktor Yanukovych.
Thank you very much for that. Deborah Farrick reporting to us there from Detroit. Well, in New York, a jury is gearing up for the trial of a man accusers call the Merchant of Death. Russian businessman Viktor Bout is charged with arms and drug smuggling. CNN's Richard Roth says Bout has waited years for his day in court.
It's been 3 years since Victor Boot was arrested in Bangkok.
This is World One live from London. You're watching World One, and we are back with sport and some bad news for basketball fans around the world. Pedro, break it down.
Yeah, I have to. It's not it's not positive, but it's official. The first 2 weeks of the NBA season have been cancelled.
Look out. It's money. It comes down to money.
It comes down to $4 billion in league revenue and how to split it, really. In the last collective bargaining agreement, the players had 57%, the owners had 43%. The owners are saying, look, most of our teams are losing money. We can't afford to go back into a season with only getting this amount of money. So they're pushing for a 50-50, and players aren't budging from a 53% lowest bargaining number. So we're talking, you might think 1 or 2% is not a big deal. It is. Every percent is $40 million. So
when you put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really, I mean, I'm a huge NBA fan. I'm very disappointed, and especially with the players, because I think they've lost
one very important element in all of this, the fans.
I know.
People actually pay for those tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
Pedro, thank you very much. You're watching World One live from London. This is World One live from London. We are approaching almost 7 a.m. in New York, almost 1 p.m. in Berlin, and almost 8 p.m. in Tokyo. Liberians go to the polls today in what's being seen as a test of the country's fledgling democracy. Incumbent and Nobel laureate Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is up against football star George Weah, among others, in today's presidential election. We want to go live now to Liberia's capital, Monrovia, and CNN's Christian Purefoy. More on this, what's turning out to be a very wet election day. Christian.
Yes, the weather, Monita, is very miserable, as you can see, but the mood is one of great expectation.
Thank you very much for this. Nice to see that despite the weather, people are still coming out to vote, and it just shows how important this election is to them. Christian Purefoy there in Monrovia, thank you so much. Well, we want to take a look at what's trending on social media right now. At number 3, it's one of our most popular stories on CNN.com. The Munich Zoo is going green. They're turning animal waste into a fuel known as biogas. Wish they would have come up with something better than that. But the zoo says together, all the animals produce some 2,000 tons of waste every year, enough to power 100 Munich households. We'll put a link to that story on our Facebook page so you can check it out there. At number 2 is what we were talking about with Pedro earlier on, the NBA lockout saga, which continues, and the latest twist has fans up in arms. The first 2 weeks of the league have been canceled. Basketball players and their management have failed to reach a new labor agreement, and there's a lot of disappointment and anger amongst fans online. And at number 1, man versus antelope. Yeah, this incredible video out of South Africa shows the moment an antelope attacked a mountain biker while he was taking part in a local race. The biker suffered minor concussions and whiplash, but was otherwise fine. The video was posted on YouTube Monday and already has well over 1 million views. You're watching World One live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for watching CNN.